Welcome to the Masterpiece Effect, where we don't just chase success, we craft it. I'm Elnaj, self-leadership alchemist, Ironman finisher, and your guide on this unconventional journey to elite performance, legacy, and self-mastery. This is not your average personal development podcast. Here, we're questioning the narratives, dismantling limitations, and redefining what it means to lead yourself, your life, and your legacy. If you're ready to move beyond high achievement into intentional creation, you're in the right place. Let's begin crafting the ultimate masterpiece, you. Hello, gorgeous human being. So maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you've read the books. Maybe you have followed the strategies, the ones that they told you would get you to success. And you know that you've done everything right because you're that kind of person. You pay attention to detail. You follow through. You dot your I's and cross the T's. So why does it feel like something is still missing? Here's my question to you. What if the problem isn't what you're doing, but who you are being? Today we're going deep into the one shift that changes everything. How your identity is shaping your success, your challenges, and your leadership. And if you don't claim it consciously, you're living by default. So let's talk about how to change that. I always found it interesting during my time as a gym instructor, spinning instructor, aqua instructor, to see how people would show up day after day, really doing the work and going home and eating the right diets. But there was a sense of emptiness to the action. It wasn't really something that I could put a name to at the time, but I started realizing it was the presence or lack of presence of the fullness of the person that would radically change the results from one member to the next. It's why you can have an entire class full of people spinning their hearts out, but some experience deep transformation, the results they are seeking, satisfaction, and fulfillment. And others just seem on this endless journey of grinding it out with frustration, with a little bit of hopelessness eventually, and then repeating the same cycle over and over again. The penny really dropped for me when a friend sent me through a video of an Ironman clip. And in that moment, I knew I was born to be an Ironman. It was an identity piece that made absolutely no sense at the time. An identity piece of, this is who I am. I am an Ironman, even though I'm terrified of water and don't really know how to swim. I am an Ironman, even though I have a hip infliction and really struggle to run. I am an Ironman, even though I'm already running a full-time business, plus being an instructor at the gym, plus raising a family. But I am an Ironman. And I found myself shifting in the unseen little ways, the unconscious little ways of being, of speaking, of the music I was listening to, the way that I would dress, the way that I would show up, the way I was thinking during my training sessions. When something got really hard and it felt like a struggle, it felt like an impossibility almost, because nothing logically was stacking up for the outcome of the training session, there was an overriding belief that, well, of course I'm going to do this because I am an Ironman. And my body, my mind, my emotions all work together to find incredible ways to not only get me to the start line, but to cross the finish line on that day. And this is when I started delving deep into the identity piece. What is this identity piece really, and why are we not talking about this more? Part of it is that the identity piece is not something that you can think your way through. It is an aspect of yourself that you have to feel into. And you and I both know that emotions has been made wrong for the longest time in our society, especially as a badass. You are encouraged to do, not to feel, to suppress your feelings, to fear your feelings, that they will overwhelm you, that they will actually cause your demise. When your emotions is the energy in motion, the energy of who you truly are, in motion expressed in your life. When we start delving into this, who am I really? What am I really? Who am I crafting myself to be? What is the identity that I'm crafting for myself, instead of just continuously being a slave to an identity that somebody else is giving you, somebody else is telling you who you are, whether it's through a profiling system or telling you that certain behaviors now identify you, and you believe that. And in that belief, you limit yourself to a life experience captivated by the archetype of the identity that you have chosen unconsciously, by default, by submitting to the spell cast upon you by another person. You will never out-succeed your identity. For your identity is the construct of your creative powers. It's why I'm so passionate about this, to help people to remember that they are the artist and the art. Your identity is yours to create. You are truly that powerful. And for you to do so starts with a decision, a choice to liberate yourself from any previous identities that serve to get you to this very moment, but will not serve you to get you to where you desire to reside next. It is an energetic frequency. Your identity has a frequency to it. And everything on that frequency in life is what you get to experience. Nothing more, nothing less. So my invitation to you, my friend, is to really sit down and to start writing down all the ways in which you are expressing yourself at the moment, all the little identities that you have labeled yourself with at the moment. I am the black sheep. I am a procrastinator. I am lazy. I am not somebody that exercises. I am a failure. I am a winner. I am an author. I am an entrepreneur. I am an artist. I am a creative. All of the identities. And explore each one of them. What do these identities represent in this physical realm that we are living? What is the potential for those identities, and what is the limitations of those identities? And then choose your next identity, understanding this is not your eternal identity. You are an eternal being. Your evolution is eternal. Any identity is transient. It is only for this time. It is only for this next phase of life, the next chapter in your life, and then you get to change it. And feel into this identity. What does this identity feel like? Energetically, physically, emotionally? What are the thoughts of these identities? What is the beliefs? What is the potential, the possibilities for this identity? What is the purpose of this identity. Because if you create an identity and you are not connected to the purpose on a really deep level, that identity will fade away back into the old practiced identities. And yes, identity becomes like a muscle that you practice. And the more you practice that identity, the stronger it becomes. And in the beginning, not so much. You might be able to capture that identity for the first hour of the morning, make the most of it. And then the muscle is fatigued and the old ways start creeping back in. It's okay. You get to go to sleep tonight, darling. You get to reset. And tomorrow you get to choose the new identity again. And little by little, that identity will become stronger. And one morning you will wake up and it's just who you are. And in the moment of embodying the new identity, your external reality starts to shift. Because who you are has changed. And so you might even take some of the same actions as before, but because the energy is different, your outcomes will be different. This piece is so critical in leadership. Because if you have not taken the time to decide who you are as a leader, and I invite you to understand leadership is an identity that's not just for one area of your life. If you choose to be a leader, be a leader. At home, at work, in your community, on the sports field, be a leader. Let it be your identity, not a role that you are playing. And from that space, choose who you will lead, how you will lead, and where you will lead. Identity is everything. The actions are secondary, for the identity is the energy piece, and the action is simply the vehicle. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Has it been helpful? And do you have any other questions for me? That's it for today's episode of The Masterpiece Effect. But your transformation doesn't stop here. If something resonated, challenged you, or sparked a new insight, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts. Connect with me at alnash.com. And if you found value in this conversation, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because life's too short for mediocrity. Let's create a masterpiece. See you next time.